Welcome to Wrasslin Raw!
Alright, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when Raw became war and Attitude ruled. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
You know, if Canada is so great, why does Mario Lemieux live in Pittsburgh? Tell me that.
Money. Joe Giammatteo.
Looks like it's Jenny Craig time to me, pal.
Almost made my highlight there. I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we are going to examine WWE history, one episode of Raw is War at a time. In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on July 28th, 1997. This Raw was recorded at the Civic Arena, a.k.a. the Igloo, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and features Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
All right, then. Let's get into it. In case anyone missed it, last week the Hart Foundation were fueled by near maniacal and hateful Canadian fans. That point was emphasized by footage of a small young boy saying that he just really loves the Hart Foundation and everything they're doing. After that, the intro highlighted the circumstances of last week's flag match, what I'm choosing to call the slap heard round the world, and another questionable injury for Shawn Michaels. It went on forever. Eventually, we got to the proper show intro, fireworks, noxious fumes, Vince McMahon roaring at us, the whole 9 yards. And yes, folks, this was Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the Igloo, our backyard. So there's a certain amount of nostalgia tied up in this episode, which, well, I mean, for more than one reason, and we'll get to all of it here. Bret Hart and the Hart Foundation were the first ones out through the curtains, and Pittsburgh was not too happy to see them. I even noticed that they had non-uniform security there with them on the entry ramp. I think that's the first time we've seen that. I wasn't sure if that was like legit or what, but I kind of thought it was legit because they weren't flamboyantly dressed security. Usually if it's worked security, they make them bright and, you know, very easy to notice, but these guys were subdued. Jim Neidhart, not present. Thank Christ. That was pretty awesome. Jim Ross reminded Bret about Bret's actions there in the ring. Vince McMahon wanted no parts of the interview. You know, the whole slap heard round the world thing last week. And he goes on to list potential consequences that could have happened because of that. But JR uses that to bury the lead. The bigger part of that statement is that next week on Raw, WWF President Gorilla Monsoon is going to be naming a new commissioner to the WWF. I'm actually honestly looking forward to that. That's another milestone here. But then it's Bret's turn to do what Bret does, and he starts off with O.J. Simpson and the lack of the justice system in America, and I fucking popped.
Those Bruno
Maglies.
Yeah.
Bret also, and guys, maybe correct me if I misinterpreted this, but it sounded like Bret was trying to back off of that stipulation that he'd never wrestle.
Yeah, he said it was a figure of speech.
Yeah.
He didn't really mean it, but
everyone else just kind of ran with it, including his own Hart Foundation and all of the ridiculous stipulations that they decided to tack on to
Sounds
things.
like he is screwing us.
A lot of screwing going on in Pittsburgh here tonight, folks. Bret, he really tried to give a great promo here, and he did. I don't want it to sound like he didn't succeed, but the Pittsburgh crowd was not giving him an inch. Not a single fucking inch for the Hitman here. Bret wanted an apology to the Canadian fans from Shawn Michaels. That was a non-starter. Last week, Bret said the U.S. was a big toilet bowl, and that if you wanted to give the U.S. an enema, you would insert the hose right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
And I popped.
The crowd loved it. And in response, they got a "Here we go Steelers" chant going, which, I mean, I personally thought it was a little much, but it's such an incredibly fucking Pittsburgh thing to do. And so loud that, like, I was honestly having a hard time hearing Bret. Bret was shouting into the microphone, and the crowd noise was so fucking loud for that Steelers chant that it was hard to hear him.
Well, and you could tell Bret was sucking it up, though. He had such a huge smirk on his face as they were chanting.
Yeah. It almost, to me, seemed like he decided to just not even try to fight it, because he got down to his bottom line, which is that Bret issued a challenge to the Patriot here tonight on Raw, and he also just wanted to put The Undertaker on notice about their match at SummerSlam next weekend. And that's it for the opening segment. I loved it, but Joe, I wanted you to have the first word on this, your self-proclaimed one of your favorite moments of all time.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing that has ever been said on a wrestling show ever. Just above Jeff Jarrett saying, "I'm going to stretch your ass like it's never been stretched before."
Or Hogan's, "I'm going to twist your knob."
Yeah.
And keep on twisting it, brother.
Yeah, this hits home, you know? He wants to stick the hose in Pittsburgh, and I feel like we should be offended by that. This Pittsburgh crowd was. And I thought, you know, when we were young, this happened when we were, like 17-ish years old, 15, 16, whatever. But at the time, I hadn't been to too many places in the United States. But now that I've been to quite a few other places in the United States, I don't know if it's really true that you should stick the hose in Pittsburgh. But then Bret starts talking about Shawn Michaels, and the Pittsburgh crowd is chanting Austin. And I thought, okay, maybe we should stick the hose there. And then they started the "Here We Go Steelers" chant, and I said, okay, we're definitely sticking the hose in Pittsburgh. Great promo. I'm happy that Bret did all the talking here. There was no passing the mic around bullshit like there has been. The only negative thing, and it's not really even negative, it's a positive sort of, because the Hart Foundation is such a great heel stable right now, a heel gimmick, that Bret has issues with a lot of people right now. So we're kind of spreading him too thin. You got Austin, Vince, Shawn Michaels, the Patriot, Undertaker. I mean, he's got a problem with quite a few guys. That's the only negative here, but this promo itself was great. And holy shit, the screw job just seems like more and more of a work.
Yeah.
The more this heat with Vince and the use of the word screw constantly.
It's just they've been using it for a year now.
Yeah.
The screw.
Yeah. And now that he's getting physical with Vince and this kind of stuff is happening, it's like, man, maybe Scott Hall was right.
I absolutely loved this segment. Joe, I'm with you. It may not be my absolute favorite, but fuck, it's up there. Saying to stick the hose for the enema in Pittsburgh. I mean, how do you beat that? It's just a classic, iconic statement from Bret Hart. And, you know, I don't think I'm being biased just because it's Pittsburgh, but this Pittsburgh crowd is maybe the rowdiest we've seen since Calgary, Alberta, Canada, when Bret Hart was up there. Obviously, it's the opposite reaction for him, but this Pittsburgh crowd was deafening at times. Really, they picked a perfect time. Joe, you might not have liked the "Here We Go Steelers," but I had a smile from ear to ear, especially because it was to drown out him talking about the Patriot. It was just perfectly timed. They just completely drowned it out, any talk of the Patriot, with "Here we go Steelers," and I fucking loved it. I mean, honestly, I know we're homers here with this, but I can't think of a hotter crowd other than Calgary in recent times. These fans were on fire, and they were going to let the Hart Foundation have it, and I loved every moment of it.
Yeah, you kind of have to, I guess, credit those Canada crowds a little bit to have this show come back home. And because those Canada crowds were so hyped. And then it's like, all right, well, wait till you come back to Pittsburgh, you sons of bitches. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home of the Steelers.
Yeah. And what was it, San Antonio a couple weeks ago, too? So,
yeah. They weren't quite as hot, though, San Antonio.
These transitions write themselves. Speaking of things that aren't that hot.
Ugh.
Let's go to our first match of the night. The Legion of Doom defeat Los Boricuas, this being Miguel Perez and Savio Vega, with Jesus Castillo and Jose Estrada on the outside by disqualification in 3 minutes and 1 second. I couldn't help but think at the start of this, when we were getting that terrible pre-recorded promo at the beginning from Los Boricuas, I'm pretty sure, Joe, please correct me if I'm wrong, but over in WCW right now, they had Conan, acting and dressing like an actual real Latino gangster, right?
Right, yep.
Yeah, with the style, the LA style, the top button of the flannel buttoned, and
Yep.
Instead of the GTA ripoffs.
Yeah, believable shit, yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought, because like I said, they had that pre-recorded promo, and it was just more spandex, more top hats, more garbage. In the ring, Hawk and Savio started things out. It mostly looked pretty good, you know? Savio has always been an entertaining guy. And then Miguel Perez got in the ring, and that was against Animal. I couldn't tell who the real Animal there was with that pelt on Miguel. In all seriousness, though, Miguel Perez, I thought he did pretty well out there with Animal. I couldn't really fault him for his work here. That's just kind of how things went until we got to the disqualification. That got called when Los Boricuas interfered to stop the Doomsday device. Now, that's not whenever LOD were double-teaming Miguel Perez in order to set up the Doomsday device, but once Los Boricuas wanted to stop it. But then the Godwins, out of nowhere, another slop drop on Hawk before getting slop dumped all over him. In the ring, Los Boricuas were ganging up on Animal before leaving. Either Jesus Castillo or Jose Estrada. We still haven't been told which one is which or who these people are. We only know Miguel and Savio. One of those two, Jesus or Jose, slipped in the slop on his way out of the ring area, which to me was the highlight of this entire segment. And that's it. You know, the most I can really say is I'm glad that the Pittsburgh fans got to see the Legion of Doom. So, Joe, what'd you think of this?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Conan's over there in WCW. He's doing the 90s cool gangster stuff. And then you got these fucking clowns. That's what they look like. They look like clowns.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And LOD is basically just being used as a nostalgia act still.
Yeah,
and
a cheap crowd pop.
Yeah, kind of sucks. Shitty, predictable interference from the Godwins. Nobody cares about that feud between LOD and Godwins. I don't know. There's just nothing. There's nothing on the line in that feud, you know? Someone's neck was broken and probably shouldn't be wrestling, but he is. Yeah, I don't know. This was terrible.
It's terrible mostly just because of the situation and all of the factions involved, because the short 3 minutes we got wasn't terrible. You know, LOD, they're LOD in the ring, but we got Savio and Prez. Both of them are decent ring workers. It's just they're trying to work a losing gimmick here, and they have an uphill battle. And then when you have a ending like we got here with the predictable disqualification and then the evil shirtless Godwins coming down, it ends up being pretty terrible and predictable when really the people involved could do much better. And that's really the sad part here.
Yeah, 100% agreed. I don't have too much to add to it. It's just, I really think I summed up my viewpoint with Conan. Still, to this day, whenever I think of the stereotypical Mexican gangster, I think of Conan. And I'm not saying like his look. I think exactly of Conan.
He pulled it off. Yeah.
Yeah. He was the first person that ever exposed me to that look. That's whenever I found out what like a West Coast Latino gangster looked like, or was supposed to look like, I guess. But I did think it was funny, though. They didn't show it, but Jerry Lawler made a comment at the start of this that Los Boricuas showed up in another really, really fly vehicle. Like, I'm thinking to myself, where the hell did they get a lowrider in Pittsburgh for them to use to drive it? But anyway. Hey guys, just so you know, next week, Raw, 1 hour later. It's not running from 8 to 10. It's going to be running from 9 to 11 next week, so we need to make sure and adjust for that. 9 to 11 is the time slot that I remember.
I was going to say, is that permanent? Are they permanently switching to 9 to 11 there? Because that's what I remember.
Yeah, I don't think so at this point.
No, I don't believe so.
Hunter Hearst Helmsley, he's going to be in action later. But first, commentary runs over the complete history of Hunter's recent work rate. Obviously, lots of footage there to back that up. And after that, Hunter cut a great promo talking about his upcoming cage match against Mankind at SummerSlam. He made a fat joke about Vader. I fucking, appreciated the hell out of that.
But this is after Vader already went to fat camp.
Well, it didn't work. That's what makes the joke that much better.
He lost like 70 pounds.
Got himself kicked out of fat camp.
Sneaking in candy bars. That was Yoko.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Vader
buckets,
did too.
Buckets of chicken. Hunter's whole promo here was Triple H words coming out of the Blue Blood's mouth with the Blue Blood's accent, and that part of it I hated. The promo itself, what he was saying, I thought was really good, but the delivery was just, so forced. But that ties us into our next match. Hunter Hearst Helmsley with Chyna versus Vader with Paul Bearer never got a chance to start. Before the bell even rang, before Vader's big ass even made it to the ring, Hunter was down there and a cameraman wearing a leather mask and missing an ear jumped into the ring and started attacking Hunter. And just as I was wondering how the hell such an obvious security violation could have happened, Chyna fucking speared Mankind off of Hunter and started beating the shit out of him. That looked fucking fantastic. That was a hell of a visual. Hunter and Mankind ended up out in the crowd with a bunch of officials. The Pittsburgh fans loved it as they worked through the crowd, up the stairs. I could have swore I saw my wife's Uncle Lenny there. And we got a replay then of when Mankind made the switch in the ring. I still maintain that could have been prevented, but, whatever. And that's it. So I enjoyed this little deviation here, and honestly, it gave me that much, it got me that much more excited to see Hunter and Mankind in the steel cage at SummerSlam. Ryan, so what did you think of Hunter's promo, and then this kind of like, this fake out with him and Mankind ending up in some fisticuffs?
Well, the promo, I had the same thought you did. I was like, man, this really sounds good and like Triple H, the words themselves, but he's still adding that ridiculous blue blood accent, and I'm really hoping he drops that soon because it's hurting his promos. The match, well, there wasn't really a match here, but I thought this was great. The way they set it up, it was unique. I wasn't expecting Mankind to dress up as a cameraman and attack Hunter, and then Chyna, that spear, great spear by her, but also a great work from Mankind for Chyna. It just all around looked really good. But that wasn't enough to keep him down. He ends up taking on both of them, and then just like that pay-per-view, they end up in the crowd beating on each other, and I agree, it does get me more interested for their match, their cage match. And this also, and I guess we'll touch on it a little bit later, we're jumping head first into the multiple faces of Foley here, because here we got Mankind, and we're going to get Dude Love a little bit later. So both in the same show. I didn't know they started it this soon. I thought it drug on a little bit more with him playing the separate characters and him not doing both in the same episode, but I'm glad we're there. My final thought, though, is that this is probably the best Vader match we've ever gotten.
I was going to say this is a bait and switch, but wanted to see Vader in a match, and we didn't get it.
Yeah.
It's 2 in a row. 2 weeks in a row now, bait and switch. But we're happy about this one, no Vader. Instead, we get Mankind being clever here as a cameraman, which was cool. I think Mick Foley was very generous with Chyna, not only tonight, but every time that, him and Hunter have had a match, he lets Chyna get some good licks in. There's probably a lot of guys back then that were like, no, I'm not gonna let her do all that. I'll take a clothesline maybe, but that's it, but Mick is quite generous with Chyna, and I like it because I think it really heats up that rivalry between him and Hunter Hearst Helmsley, because Helmsley, let's face it, he's just, I don't know, he's been around for 2 years, but he hasn't really been great yet up until now when he wins King of the Ring and has this feud with Mankind. So I am looking forward to their match at SummerSlam. I thought this was a good go-home angle for sure.
What are you talking about? You jobbing out to the Warrior wasn't the height of his career? Bullshit, I say.
Warrior Man.
Recently, Mick Foley on his podcast has talked about how early on he made it a point to sell for Chyna hard. And it really helped her back, with the guys backstage willing to do it. Because they were like, well, if Mick Foley, who's supposed to be this unstoppable madman, could sell for her, I guess I can too.
Well, it's the decent human being choice, but also it's the smart business choice. I mean, you got to work the angle, It's not going to do shit if it doesn't look like it's hurting you. So whenever I was watching this, she hits him with the spear and she has him down on the ground and she is just fucking wailing on him. And you could hear the hits connecting.
The mask. Did he have the mask on?
Yeah. And like I was sitting there thinking to myself, I wonder if like with Shawn Michaels, like with any of the other things that we've talked about, like I wonder if before this he told her like, hey, don't worry about me, just lay it in, make it look good.
He there's an interview with Shawn Michaels and he said that Mick told him like just lay it in because the mask like absorbs the blow, like I'm not going to feel it.
Well, I think that he did that here too, because like I said, those punches that she was hitting him in the face, like they looked and sounded pretty goddamn stiff. So
that wouldn't surprise me because it sounded like Mick and Chyna had a very close relationship. They were very good friends. So it wouldn't surprise me that he was telling her, hey, lay into me.
That's good. I like hearing that. Not that I needed a reason to like Mick Foley more, but it's always good to hear how good of a person he is. All right, guys.
Speaking of a good person.
Hey, do you want to keep talking about Chyna and Mick Foley? Like, we could probably stretch that for another half hour. No?
Or at least through the next match.
We must talk about the next thing here.
Up next,
the match must continue.
The debut of the Truth Commission, which I was not happy about. We got a pre-recorded promo from the Commandant putting over the Truth Commission, and I'm trying to choose my words very carefully because, like, I could really easily just become an unintelligible I could become Ahmed Johnson talking about this.
Oh my God.
This is some of like the most cartoony bullshit that I have seen in a while here.
At least a couple years.
Just when you think it's bad enough, Mexican gang, biker gang, weird fucking rockabilly guy, these flash funk, these things that like we've almost kind of started to take for granted. Like, it's the WWF. For every Steve Austin, you've got to fucking, I don't know, take your pick, But this is just, so first of all, they all look like Street Fighter, to me at least. Like with the red cap, they look like, what's that, the chick name? Cammy. They look like Cammy from Street Fighter, except the male version of that. They all look the same. They're all this perfect, like, Russian nesting doll, like tall, middle-sized, bottom-sized, and then the fucking Commandant. The fucking Commandant. Because the three of them, I mean, they don't have, the three wrestlers, they don't have a lick of charisma. And you can tell within, like, 5 seconds of seeing them, before they even work in the ring, like, they all suck. You can clearly see it. Just the way that they, you know what? Sorry. We're gonna push through this. God damn it. The ring announcer there in the ring, I forget his name, Tony Chili, something like that. The ring announcer highlighted the fact that we had boxing champion and Pittsburgh native Michael Moorer there in the crowd in the first row. That was nice.
I had no fucking clue he was from Pittsburgh.
No, me neither.
I looked it up. He's from like Westmoreland County.
Wow. Right after that, we got another pre-recorded promo from Brackus.
Drago, you mean? If this isn't stealing from Rocky IV, I don't know. I don't know what is.
See, I thought he sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger whenever Arnold's like freaking out.
Kinda. I mean, he's gonna need a mouthpiece.
The German Austrian accent.
I don't know what's going on.
He's going to need a mouthpiece when he comes in, right?
Yeah.
Well, he said a whole bunch of shit that I didn't understand. I did understand the phrase "nation of domination," though.
He did say that for whatever reason.
So maybe he's got something against them. I don't know. We're gonna find out. They're gonna
play in the German thing. I mean,
oh God,
they're already in the Disciple of the Honey Dippers, his two buddies.
Yeah. More stables.
The Finnish guy. What the hell was his name? The anti-American? The actual Nazi?
Oh, Ludwig Borga?
Yeah,
Ludwig Borga. That's it. Maybe he trained with Ludwig. All right. Well, okay. That's the end of this mid-match segment. Joe, did you have anything on the promos or Michael Moore here? Maybe.
No, I don't really know much about Michael Moore. I remember when he beat Holyfield, like in his prime. That's about all I remember from him. But the Commandant, fuck him. He's terrible. Brackus, like I said, it just seems like a Rocky IV ripoff. I just imagine they put some squirrely guy as his manager to be the mouthpiece for him, but who knows? I don't remember Brackus at all, so we'll probably pretend it never happened.
Yeah, looking over this little segment, I'm going to have to just say pass. I mean, there's nothing much to add. I don't got much more than what Joe said.
We've got to pass. We've got to get away from the segment.
Do it now.
Do it. I was looking forward to doing that all day. You guys have no idea. All right, let's get this bullshit over with. Our next match. The Truth Commission. This is Recon, Sniper, and the Interrogator. They even have fucking G.I. Joe names.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
God damn it. Defeat
a cartoon.
Bob Holly, Flash Funk, and Double J Jesse James, the fucking cartoon race car driver, the fucking cartoon pimp, and the cartoon fucking cowboy, by pinfall in 3 minutes and 23 seconds in a 6-man tag team match. The worst goddamn format. Like, okay, calm. God damn it. I need to take a drink.
Let's not spend more time on it than the match was.
Yes.
Yeah.
The babyface team, they all came out to Bob Holly's fucking cartoon arcade music. I mean, I was hating it before, really hating it there. 2 cartoon teams here for a cartoon fucking battle. Like, when were they going to pull out the anvils and all of the Acme props, You could tell that these guys weren't military at all, that this was all just a fucking sham. So they came down to military music, which is in cadence. The Commandant, he couldn't fucking call cadence along with it. None of them were able to match cadence in their marching. They couldn't even maintain what I'm pretty sure is a simple 4/4 beat, like up, 2, 3, 4. Can't even fucking do that. They're fucking terrible. Gorilla Monsoon, he was there with commentary to address why he's going to announce a commissioner. I was hoping that commentary was going to talk about that instead of calling the match. They didn't. The bottom line there, too many superstars are running out of control. I guess being the president, not enough of an authority figure. So that's that. Recon, he was up first against Flash Funk. Fucking terrible. Sniper against Double J Jesse James. Fucking terrible. Finally, the Interrogator, the fucking Kurgan. Also terrible. Bob Holly, of course, he did the fucking honors there in the middle of the ring. Back to Matt. And that's it. The Truth Commission did a victory lap while Vince called what sounded like a fake child to tell them that they are in the running for that $1 million in the Undertaker's casket. I really do think that was a work. And that's it. I mean, I definitely would have changed the fucking channel here. I wanted to change the channel last week when I found out it was just it was going to be coming up. Joe, what did you think of this, please?
Well, this is probably part of the reason why Bret Hart has to work with so many guys right now, because there's just not enough. There's not enough heels, and they're creating all these shitty stables with just mid-card or lower level leaders that nobody cares about. Interrogator or Kurgan, I looked him up. He's been in some pretty big name movies. 300, Sherlock Holmes, Pacific Rim, Deadpool 2. So like this guy's an actor in some movies. So, I mean, I give him credit for that, but his wrestling here in 97 is not good. And yeah, nobody cares about the Truth Commission. It's already a complete joke, and they just debuted.
Well, I mean, and that's the real problem. Why were they debuting? We already have how many factions that nobody gives 2 fucks about, and we add another useless one here, and it doesn't make any sense. They come out and they reveal their generic, pathetic names like Recon and Sniper, and right from the start, you knew this was going to be a stinker, and it starts with, you put them up against the 3 most worthless jobbers at the bottom of your card. You know what I mean? Like, where was this going to go? I really don't get it, because it seems like just a couple months ago, we were finally getting away from a good portion of these cartoon gimmicks. And then in the last month, we've just made each new faction a brand new cartoon bullshit piece of shit faction. And man, the Commandant. Everyone hated him. What was that? 6 months ago when he showed up for an episode or two, he got zero heat, zero pop. No one gave a shit. So they decided to bring him back and give him a whole faction. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, faction's working on the other channel, pal.
Yeah. This is clearly the NWO.
I really think that that's what's going on right now, is that they see that a faction is working on the other channel, and now they're just throwing shit at the wall and trying to see what sticks for factions.
Well, it's probably more of a faction is working on in their company.
Right. You got the Hart Foundation working, and you have the Nation working a little bit right now, but
yeah. So I was actually just thinking that, you've got the Hart Foundation doing what they're doing. You had this amazing rivalry between Stone Cold and Bret that very nicely transitioned into the Hart Foundation and their whole story. You've got Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Mankind telling a story right now. You've got two kind of, honestly cartoon characters. You've got the deranged dude and you've got the Connecticut Blue Blood, but they were able to transcend their fucking bullshit gimmicks. Not that Mankind was that bullshit, but anyway. My point is that you have effective storytelling going on already. And yes, we want more of that. But who the fuck thought it was a good idea to try to tell a story with these shitheads? Like, who thought that this would work? You've got examples all around you of shit working. And this is not like it at all.
It's the exact opposite of anything that's working right now.
Did somebody sit there and say, we need to try to piss off the next 4-year-old that we see? We need to get that 4-year-old hooked and hating the Truth Commission. Like, because that's what this is for. That's the only people that I can think of, the under 10 crowd that would maybe enjoy this.
Who just got done watching G.I. Joe.
Right. And that's in the face of the fact that they've got these other stories going on that are very fucking clearly, with all of the signs in the audience and all of the crowd reactions, appealing to a different denominator of the public. You've obviously got the male 14 to 29 demo or whatever the fuck it is. Just take a look around. Look at the signs. You see this shit, but you want to give us the fucking Truth Commission. Like, all right, sorry. Moving on. You're right. We shouldn't spend more time on that than it already fucking took from us. Moving along, guys. Sorry. Next up, Vince mentioned that we should probably get to know the Patriot. God damn it. More of it. So we got a video package about the Patriot. I kind of feel like we should have got that before he stepped out on stage with Steve fucking Austin and Ken Shamrock. But hey man, whatever. Better late than never, I guess. We broke to commercial, came back to the Patriot speaking as the Patriot, but then he decided to speak as Del Wilkes to accept Bret Hart's challenge. So I'm not sure if the Patriot accepted or Del Wilkes accepted or if they both did.
He embodies the spirit of all Americans.
So all I took away from him here is that I really, really, really want to hear the Patriot say, and stay out of the Woolworths. Ryan, now that we know everything that we need to know about the Patriot and have been properly introduced to him,
we love him now.
Do you think either Del Wilkes or the Patriot accepted Bret Hart's challenge here?
I think. I mean, I learned he's inspired by Old Glory. And he continues to talk like a shit-kicking motherfucker. I mean, that's it. At one point, he tells Bret Hart that he doesn't think he likes him very much. Pretty much all I got from his promo was that he was the Patriot.
Yeah, I never realized they kept mentioning his real name until we do these.
His
rewatches.
alter ego, you mean?
Yeah,
Del Wilkes. Like they say it a lot, so that was a little shocking to me. I wonder if we have Shawn Michaels to blame for this, maybe because him and Bret couldn't work together. Maybe they just had to throw in this Patriot gimmick. I don't know, but it's really bad and needs to stop.
Yeah. Once again, these segues write themselves. Speaking of things that are really bad and need to stop, let's go to our next match. Crush with the DOA. That's 8-Ball, Chains, and Skull versus Farouk with the Nation of Domination, Ahmed, D'Lo Brown, and Kama. Yeah, that's right. Ahmed Johnson there with him. This match is going to end in a double disqualification in 3 minutes and 17 seconds. I had to take a break here. After that after the fucking after the Truth Commission, I come back to the Patriot and then
Crush.
The first thing I see is the fucking honey dipper on the motorcycle coming through the curtains. And I'm like, I have to walk away. Like, I can't keep doing this to myself right now. I need to take some time for some self-care. After I gathered myself, I came back and then I saw Ahmed Johnson and I turned around and had to fucking walk away again. Ahmed was extremely overdressed here.
Yeah. He looked like he stuck himself with about 50 steroid needles before.
Yes.
And dumped a 55-gallon drum of baby oil.
And then tied as many handkerchiefs or ties or something around himself as he possibly could to cut off the blood flow.
He looked fucking ridiculous.
Enormous.
Yes.
Since the last time we saw him.
Very overdressed. Crush's punches are fucking terrible. That was one of my only notes about the match itself. Also, Crush's pile driver, very terrible, very dangerous looking.
Yeah.
Literally everything he did. The finish, the inevitable gang warfare. Los Boricuas out of nowhere. And that's it. This was over. I fucking hated it. Ryan, what'd you have?
Yeah, I hated it as well, and it's because of Crush. At the beginning, Vince tells us that what they're coming out on here are not Harleys. Not that there's anything wrong with a Harley, but they are on the Ferrari of motorcycles, the Titan motorcycle. Yeah. So I don't know what he meant by that. Were these like special custom bikes made for Titan Sports?
Yeah. So not for Titan Sports. I actually ended up looking it up because I was curious after he made that comment. In this case, I think what he's talking about is Titan is a motorcycle manufacturer out of, I think, Arizona.
Okay.
That was one of the first to do kind of like mass production custom.
Gotcha.
If that makes any sense. I know it's not oxymoron,
but I know what you mean, unfortunately.
Yeah. The company itself was an American-made company out of Arizona called Titan.
Harley, too, at the time was, I guess they were very protective with their brand.
So they wouldn't let them
because they actually, WCW had that pay-per-view that they called Hog Wild, and Harley Davidson, like, I don't know if they sued them, but they were like, hey, you can't use the term hog. So they had to change it to Road Wild.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Jeez.
All right. Well, I'm glad Vince made that statement, though. That was a highlight of the whole match.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Ahmed Johnson come down, I have to say for the last month that he like sent away to NASA to find out a way to make even more baby oil stick to your skin, because I don't think I've ever seen someone glisten as much as he did. There was almost like if he stood sideways, you could almost see like a force field around him. It was so thick.
That's pure gas coming out of his pores, pal.
I gotta say, I was absolutely shocked by how shiny he was. I didn't think it was fucking physically possible. But Ahmed and the Titan bikes highlights, and then Crush starts the match, and the rest is a lowlight. I don't give a shit about Savio's gang coming out later. I don't care about anything that has to do with Crush. My God, how much more do we have to talk about these terrible fucking stables? Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, another DQ and another opportunity for Vince to use the phrase, it's all out warfare. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
So interestingly enough, that match is what concluded the first hour. So, they were relying on that to carry them. I'm assuming the entire continent had changed the channel at that. Well, I take that back. Canada fucking loves the Honey Dipper, so maybe their weird asses stuck around. But I have to admit, I was curious. Like, if that's how they're ending the first hour, how are they going to start the second hour? Like, how are they topping this? And they did that with the sound of a banjo for our next match. The Godwins defeat Dude Love and Stone Cold Steve Austin by countout in 4 minutes and 37 seconds, with Dude Love and Austin retaining the WWF Tag Team Championship as a result. Owen Hart and the British Bulldog joined commentary for this. Owen was looking like he hated life, and it was great. He's been doing a fantastic job with his part of things, I think. The crowd loved Dude Love, so much so that they got a chant going to that groovy backbeat. I couldn't tell what they were saying, but it was to the beat of the music, so that was awesome. It looked like Dude Love loved it too. Of course, everybody popped for Austin. He jump-started the match. I really, really love how it seems like we're embracing the catchphrase Summer of Love. It's perfect. It is perfect for what's happening here with Dude Love. I fucking love it. Henry looked great against Dude Love. And again, I found myself wishing that the Godwins were taken more seriously, or maybe if the tag team division were taken more seriously, because when they're on, they're on. And I thought they were on in this match. Maybe it's just because I had so much shit going on before it and my standards got lowered. I don't know. At one point, Austin got tossed out of the ring, which started the count. Owen came over and hit Austin with the Intercontinental title. That dropped Austin again to finalize the count-out victory for the Godwins. When he was asked, Owen said that Austin tried to steal his belt, and I fucking popped for that. That was good. But that just turned into all three teams in a cluster at the outside, and they decided to just throw LOD in there too, because they showed up. JR yelled, "We've got SummerSlam fever here, and it is hot!" Which was a great JR-ism, I thought. And that's it for the match. This ended as a clusterfuck, but so far it was the most entertaining 4 minutes of the whole episode. So, Joe, what'd you think of it?
Well, I mean, Austin is a good way to start the second hour. I mean, this guy is on fire right now. This crowd is hot for Austin. I mean, they are just losing their shit for him. I'm a little upset. Did the cock take away the Dude Love music, or was it just like shitty audio? Because I couldn't hear like the vocal part on this.
I don't know.
I'm hoping they just had audio issues maybe, but we'll see next time we see the dude. Bulldog was absolutely horrible on commentary. Maybe the worst commentary I've ever heard from a wrestler. It was so bad. I loved Austin taking the headset and saying he was going to kick Owen's ass at the end. I thought that was just really good stuff.
Yeah, this was definitely a good way to start off the second hour of Raw, because the Godwins were on their game, and then Dude Love and Stone Cold. I don't know if I've ever seen one of them off their game yet. And, it started, the crowd loved Foley coming out as Dude Love. They were really into it. And then they just absolutely explode when Stone Cold comes out. And Stone Cold does a great job of kickstarting this match off. And really, it was excellent action. You said what? It was 4 minutes? And the ending got a little fucky. The ending wasn't the best, but the action in those 4 minutes was definitely heads and shoulders above everything else we've gotten tonight. And even though it was only 4 minutes, so far has taken the show as far as the wrestling goes.
Yep, absolutely agreed on that. And I don't know what else to say there. It's sad when 4 minutes can be better than an entire hour. It should at least be a competition. After that, we were getting ready for a light heavyweight division match until Ken Shamrock showed up with a folding table. So I guess the Bulldog had challenged Shamrock to an arm wrestling match while Bulldog was on commentary just then. I must have missed it. I don't know if either of you guys caught it, but I didn't hear that at all. But Shamrock coming down and hanging out is what took us into our next match. Devon Storm defeats Ace Darling by pinfall in 44 seconds. And I'll be goddamned if that didn't earn Ace Darling the Jobber of the Week. Ryan, please take it.
Thank you, Bartlett. Yes, Ace Darling is this week's jobber. Ace Darling was born Michael Maraldo. Do you remember that name? Michael Maraldo.
That sounds really familiar.
Yeah, so he was born on June 27th, 1974 in Freehold, New Jersey. He was trained by Mike Sharp and Bobby Piper and has used the ring names Mike Moraldo, Dave Moraldo, Ace Darling, and Doink the Clown.
Oh.
This is going to be shorter. It's going to be on the shorter side of the jobber segments, but I felt like there was just enough information about him to warrant it, plus the grand jobber fashion in which he lost this match. I thought he definitely deserved it, but also Mike Moraldo was our very first but never aired jobber of the week from our dry run episode. So that might be why his name sounds a little familiar to both you, to both Joe and Bartlett, but anyone out there listening hasn't heard it, so it is new to you. Ace made his debut in late 1992 working in the independent circuit in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware region, where this darling will spend pretty much his entire career. By 93, he was working as a temporary jobber for the WWF, meaning he didn't have a contract or travel with the WWF, but the WWF would use his jobber services while in the area. For a short period of time during 95, he was Doink the Clown in a handful of matches in Smoky Mountain Wrestling as well as in NWA New Jersey. One match of note, on May 22nd, 1995, while wrestling as Doink for NWA New Jersey, he picked up a clean victory over Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Oh, boy.
His last match with the WWF came on October 4th, 1999, losing to Kurt Angle in a dark match. And that's pretty much it for Ace's time in the WWF. The rest of his career, outside of a handful of WCW jobber matches, was solely in the indies, where he did have some success, especially in the tag team division, where he teamed up with his opponent from this match, Devon Storm, and together they held the CWA, ECPW, RCW, EWA, and 3 different NWA tag team belts together. So, a little bit of gold for him.
Yeah.
Darling's final wrestling match came on May 30th, 2011, defeating Aiden Chambers at ECWA's 15th annual Super 8 tournament held in Voorhees, New Jersey. Mike is still plenty active on social media, so if you are interested what he's up to right now, look him up. He seems like he's on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Mike Moraldo's career record is 177 wins, 188 losses, and 10 draws. So he just squeaked it out by 10 losses, but he is officially a jobber.
Nice. One correction I would make, though, Ryan. Our loyal Patreon patrons do get that dry run episode.
That's true.
That's
true.
the only benefit of the $100 membership tier on Patreon is that you get that dry run episode released to you every week.
Thank you for that correction. It was an oversight on my part.
I can't resist an opportunity to put over the podcast and our Patreon page.
Yes.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Light heavyweight, the limit on that's 215, right?
That sounds about right.
That's what they told us. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought, because in the ring at the start of this, JR listed both of these guys. Devon Storm clocking in at 211 and Ace Darling clocking in at 213. Right up there against that line. And by the time it took me to type that line, the match was over. Ace Darling flat on his back. Joe, do you have anything you want to add?
No, this was bad. Not much to highlight there. I have nothing to add at all. 2 guys that we're probably just never going to hear from very much at all moving forward. So we're still getting this light heavyweight stuff every week. And we know that Taka's going to be the guy. So I'm just kind of waiting for that to happen,
I mean, I'm not even sure I could say it was terrible because we weren't even given a chance to see what either of these 2 guys could really offer. It was just over immediately. And it's been a really long time since we've seen this useless of a jobber match. I mean, they really laid it to old Ace Darling here.
Yeah. Well, I said it earlier before we started recording. I was surprised that they didn't decide to just use 44 seconds of old footage rather than pay these guys.
Yeah.
So, but we got a great segment out of it. Thank you, Ryan.
They got to go to the pay window.
That's right. They got a whole $15 for their downside guarantee.
And then half of that went to Gary Sabaw.
Yes, it did. All right. After that, Vince made another attempt to call a child. This time he got that robot that says, the number you have dialed, blah, blah, blah. So with that, I am officially going on record as saying the whole thing's a work.
It's a scam.
Telling you, the entire thing.
It stinks as a scam so badly.
That was while Sonny was writhing around on the casket full of cash at the top of the entryway. Vince tried again with a different phone number to a different area of the country. And the person that answered that time sounded more real, but I still think it's all a work. That was where the Bulldog came down to the ring, and this arm wrestling shit was happening, I guess. Earl Hebner, he's there to officiate the arm wrestling match. He yelled at Shamrock for taking his shirt off.
It's intimidation.
Once they got started, I had to note Ken Shamrock's very poor technique. He was really, really overextended, while the Bulldog was maintaining a very nice, tight 90 degrees on his elbow. But these two, they sold the shit out of it. It looked like Bulldog was going to have a testicle explode as Shamrock was rallying back. But the Bulldog, he was not having a loss here. He headbutted Shamrock, grabbed a chair, railed Shamrock a few times, and then, for the piece de resistance, pulled out a can of dog food and smeared Shamrock and the entire fucking ring, really, with it. It was a big can of dog food. There was a lot. It was everywhere, and it made me want to puke as we went to
Costco-sized can of dog food.
Yes. And that's that. At this point in this episode, I'm already well beyond the point of taking any of this seriously, so I'll just throw out there that Earl Hebner is the worst arm wrestling referee ever. Ryan, what did you think of this mid-match segment?
Outside of the end with the dog food, I kind of enjoyed this segment for what it was. Most of the time when we get these these fake arm wrestling competitions, they really drag it out and there's 900 false starts, and that didn't happen here. These two guys, they started and went right into the action, and they kept the back and forth up until the predictable Bulldog cheating once Ken got the upper hand. But the part right after that, I thought the Bulldog did a great job beating the shit out of Ken with his chair. I thought he was really laying into him at times, and it almost made me forgive them reminding me about the dumb fucking dog food stipulation at the end. For me, I think this worked more than it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, this is professional wrestling storytelling type stuff, I mean, this came off at the beginning as very 1980s to me, but it's like, I guess it turned out being very 90s.
Yeah.
When it started, I'm waiting for shenanigans or Earl Hebner to fuck it up or both, and we got both. So there were shenanigans and Earl Hebner being a jackass. So I thought it was fine. I thought it was a good build up to SummerSlam. I mean, you have to think Ken Shamrock is going to win now, right? Because he got fucking humiliated here on live TV.
Yeah, good call there. I mean, I'm still not excited about the whole dog food thing, but I do kind of want to see Ken fuck up the Bulldog now. You're right. Let's keep it moving here. We're getting close to the end. First, though, our next match. Goldust with Marlena versus Rockabilly with the Honky Tonk Man. This ended in a no contest in 1 minute and 16 seconds. While I continue to hate like this goofy, happy version of Goldust and Marlena, I will say that Marlena looked fucking amazing here. She was looking great.
Yeah, that's never going to change.
There was some kind of blonde mannequin here, and I was like instantly terrified this would have something to do with Brian Pillman, and I was right. Goldust was there. He grabbed a microphone, put over the upcoming SummerSlam match, and then Marlena got on the mic, and it just went further down the shitter. And I hate to say that because I don't want to dislike Marlena, but Marlena shouldn't be talking. She should be mysterious and puffing on the cigar. that feeling of hatred that continued whenever we got the rockabilly music. But I did enjoy hearing a very young child yell, "You suck, Billy!" whenever he was coming down to the ring. So that was pretty awesome. Things got going. And then Rockabilly noticed heavyweight champion Michael Moore. Remember that guy that we mentioned earlier, sitting on the apron, or not apron, at the edge of the crowd barrier.
Best person in the crowd to start a fist fight with, right?
I know, right? Makes perfect sense. Rockabilly went over there and just slapped him, right? Because that's something to do. Michael Moore then knocked Rockabilly the fuck out with what, to me at least, appeared to be a very stiff right cross.
The man isn't used to pulling punches. What do you want?
I'm pretty sure I saw the shockwave go through Billy's head. He might have another neck injury after that. I'm not sure. But then Pillman, out of nowhere, to assault Goldust with that mannequin. I'm pretty sure that's where the bell got rung to call the end of the match. Not on, Michael Moore knocking the fuck out of Rockabilly, but with the mannequin. That's what ended things. Marlena jumped into the ring, jumped on Pillman's back, which was actually pretty entertaining. Not just because of how hot Marlena is, obviously, but because it was kind of unexpected a little bit. It was the most exciting thing about all of this, and that's not saying much. By the way, in case anybody's wondering, that fucking dog food stain was still all over the ring. Everybody was rolling around in it. It was very gross. Ryan, in my opinion, at this point, we were 1-5 for matches. The only good one being that tag match with the Godwins and Stone Cold. So what'd you think of this?
Yeah, sadly, I couldn't really disagree. I mean, the spectacle of it all maybe wasn't bad, with Rockabilly being punched out by champ Michael Moore here. That was kind of entertaining, especially because it did look like a stiff as fuck punch. But the match itself was a throwaway, like so many of the other matches that we had. I know they're trying to build up the Goldust Brian Pillman match with the dress stipulation, but in doing so, this match was pretty much non-existent, and I'm not sure it really did anything to make me care about that match anymore, sadly.
Yeah, they're definitely doing that. I mean, they're trying to build that, go home, get you excited for that match.
But they need to do a better job than this.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Bartlett, too. Marlena should not be cutting promos. It was just not good. I mean, she's basically being Terry Runnels, too. She's not even being Marlena when doing it. So.
Hey, guys, I'm a mom.
Yeah. I love the exchange between Michael Moore and Rockabilly. I mean, that was just, hopefully he knocked Rockabilly out of gimmick completely forever. It's been a while since we've seen Rockabilly, and it was just as pathetic as it was the last time we saw it. Unfortunately for me, this Brian Pillman Goldust story is forever attached to the death of Brian Pillman for me, because I'm pretty sure when he died, they were in this feud where he was like kidnapping Marlena and stuff. So yeah, that's unfortunate. So, I mean, we kind of know it's not really going to go anywhere, but we're going to be dealing with it for another couple months until that unfortunate incident. So, I mean, maybe they'll have some good matches. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But Pillman's matches have not been very good recently.
Yeah. One thing I will say that I'm looking forward to is Goth Marlena, though.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be pretty nice. So, silver linings, maybe. After this, we got a pre-recorded video package. Vince put it over in his introduction as The Undertaker getting ready to face Bret Hart at SummerSlam. But really what it was a whole bunch of people putting over The Undertaker. And if that sounds like I'm criticizing it, I am not. For example, we had Bret Hart. He was there putting over The Undertaker. Shawn Michaels put himself over, but that was kind of like the equivalent of a backhanded compliment, because in putting himself over, he also put The Undertaker over. British Bulldog was there putting The Undertaker over. I was really pleasantly surprised with this video package. That got tested a little bit whenever we got to some candid talk from The Undertaker himself, talking in the third person about the character. It was kind of startling that an undead zombie might have a sense of focus or commitment, but, whatever.
He was almost busting into TED Talk Undertaker.
He almost was, yeah. In that footage, Bret Hart doubled down on not wrestling in America again.
Which was strange.
Walking it back.
Probably pre-recorded, I guess, right?
When we came back from that whole thing, Vince was in the ring to introduce Shawn Michaels' cock to Vince McMahon's goozle. And of course, Shawn Michaels and the music and the stripping. A couple of Pittsburgh hotties got a smooch from HBK there by the ring. Good for them. Shawn got in the ring, and I popped hard when Shawn checked the soles of his shoes for dog food. I guess the point of this was that Shawn is going to be taking Vince McMahon's spot on commentary for our main event match. We then got footage of Bret Hart in the back trashing the place. As a result of that, as we broke to commercial, we came back to some footage of Pittsburgh fans shouting out Mario Lemieux leaving Canada, as Ryan stated there at the top, I do believe. And that was it. Joe, I really thought this video package for The Undertaker was really well done. The promo from Shawn Michaels, it was what it was. So what did you think of all this?
Yeah, The Undertaker video package, it's strange to see because these guys are like kind of out of character when they're talking. Which at the time probably really didn't mean much because you didn't have all these YouTube shoot interviews, in 1997. So I think it was very well done.
Yeah, that's a very good call. That they had a very YouTube shoot interview feel to them. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Just see the sight of Vince McMahon in the ring introducing Shawn Michaels is enough to make you sick at this time, so that sucked. Vince again doing the aw shucks character with Shawn Michaels, which I can't stand. But Shawn is going to join commentary, so that I think that is a good thing for what we're going to see next.
Yeah, I thought the Undertaker video, which was really solely to put the Undertaker over, Bartlett, as you said, they did a good job with it because, it did seem like the shoot interviews, especially with the Undertaker, kind of talking out of character, which isn't something we see much at all at this time, even when he's like at a press conference with a New Jersey governor, he's in character, but not here. The only sad thing I took away from this was all of this putting the Undertaker over made me feel like he's probably going to lose this title match. I feel like they're kind of showing their hand here, but the video itself did a really good job. Vince McMahon gushing over Shawn Michaels. Of course, this is basically week in and week out at this point, but we did get Shawn coming down on those wonderful loafers and pleated shorts again. And, this week...
Try not to get dog food on.
Yeah, he had to check for that. And he was also wearing a shirt that, man, I swear I owned back in elementary school that my mom picked up from JCPenney's or something, He's going to be at ringside and he's usually entertaining.
All right, well, with that, let's go to our final match of the night. The Patriot defeats Bret Hart by pinfall in 6 minutes and 24 seconds. Before things got going, Bret came over to the commentary table, started making gestures. Shawn Michaels responded by bumping and grinding in his chair. That was kind of funny. Bret grabbed a microphone, got up in the ring, requested that the Canadian national anthem to be played, which they did. There were no shenanigans there. And then the Patriot came out to fucking Kurt Angle's music.
Yeah! Was that a peacock thing?
That's the cock.
No. It was, I really don't think it was because it wasn't an exact one-to-one copy. I want to say
you are right.
No, that's what they do. That's what they do. They purposely don't do the one-to-one copy.
Well, so what I thought is that they had this music for the Patriot and then he didn't last, so they must have like remixed it for Kurt.
I don't know. Didn't he come out to some like Stars and Stripes?
Stars and Bars last time or something.
Yeah.
But this one was definitely that dun-dun, dun-dun
You
coming
suck.
in. Yeah.
You suck.
Yeah. Hopefully one of our listeners or maybe somebody from the WWF that listens to the podcast can chime in and let us know exactly what was going on there. Because like I said, I assumed that they took this and remixed it for Kurt, rather than spend money on new music.
It did sound like it was coming out of the arena and not out of like dubbed over like some of the other music sounds.
The Patriot, he got on the microphone to request the U.S. national anthem. So I was over this episode about 20 minutes into it at about the first time we saw the Commandant there. But up to this point, like, this was really starting to push my patience. Like, this whole dueling national anthems thing. Like, I like the story, but this is getting to be too much. Thankfully, though, Bret Hart, being the consummate professional that he is, didn't wait for the anthem to finish. He knew that we were in the equivalent of dead fucking air at that point and wanted to get some action happening. Bret looked good, but the Patriot looked like shit. I mean, what else is there to say? As Vince was thanking USA Network for giving them extra time, I was cursing USA Network for prolonging this. Earl Hebner had taken a bump, was rolling around in the ring at about the time that the crowd started to throw garbage into the ring. But Shawn Michaels decided to interfere here. He pulled Bret off of the Patriot during Bret's pin. That distracted Bret just long enough for the Patriot to grab Bret and hit Bret with a surprise roll-up at just the right time that Earl Hebner was coming to. Earl gave a very slow count for that. Really kind of hard to believe that Bret would have been stuck in that roll-up for that long. The Patriot quickly exited while the Hitman paced in the ring. I was surprised that he didn't start going after Shawn Michaels immediately. Shawn must have realized that too, because Shawn got on the announce table to mock Bret and keep bumping and gyrating there. Bret ended up surrounded by officials in the ring. Shawn was dancing on the table, and then the bell for The Undertaker tolled as we faded to black. So, guys, since this show was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it is entirely possible that we could have attended it, I think I'll finish things up here just by letting you know the dark match that we would have seen if we were present, because I have a feeling it followed this one. That dark match was The Undertaker defeating Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin in a triple threat match to retain the WWF Championship. So, hopefully that gives a little bit of context to the really fucking weird way that this episode ended. Joe, please, what do you think of this match and the way that Raw ended tonight?
Well, first off, Bartlett, you are correct. Jim Johnston produced that theme and remastered it for Kurt Angle. So that really, man, that makes me sick.
Well, because after the like dun-dun, dun-dun part, it sounded different, but yeah.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of bad go-homes, and this finish is one of the worst that I've seen in a long time. I mean, this man, Bret Hart, is going to beat The Undertaker in 6 days for the WWF Championship, and you have him lose to this complete jabroni jobber, the Patriot. I'm speechless with that. I don't understand it at all. It was clean. It was kind of clean, right? I can't believe it. I can't fucking believe it. I hated this. All of it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I don't think I've hated a Bret Hart match this much in quite some time. Maybe against Diesel was the last time I hated a Bret match this
Bob
much.
Backlund.
Yeah, Bob Backlund, because we saw what the Patriot has to offer last week, and he brought all of that skill to this match. And, Bret Hart tried his hardest, but everything about it was shitty. The ending, we see the Undertaker show up and then it's just gone. The Undertaker has the belt and we got nothing from him this entire episode other than showing up at the end to set up a dark match that we're not even going to get to see. The Pittsburgh crowd clearly got a better end than we did. Undertaker, Bret Hart, and Stone Cold. We got Bret Hart and the fucking Patriot. Fuck me.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm not positive, but I know that is the dark match that happened here, and it just kind of makes sense with the bell tolling that it must have happened after this. I don't know how they set it up to have Bret and Stone Cold in there with Undertaker, but yeah, at least the crowd got to see that too, right? I think the Pittsburgh crowd, the live crowd here, got a much better show than we did. With that being said, we faded to black. Let's take it on over to highlights and lowlights. Ryan, why don't you take that first?
So my highlight, I could go with the Stone Cold Dude Love tag match. That was pretty entertaining, but I have to give it to the iconic comment by Bret Hart about Pittsburgh and the hose of the enema going up Pittsburgh. That is definitely my highlight. And the low light is Crush versus Farouk. I stated a few weeks ago, I will give the low light to Crush every chance I get, and he's getting it here again.
Yeah, my low light is this finish. The Patriot beat Bret Hart on Monday Night Raw 6 days before Bret wins the championship. Just terrible. My highlight is, of course, the enema comment, the hose going into Pittsburgh. And the Pittsburgh crowd really justified it for me.
My highlights, I went with the tag match. It was great to have the Godwins looking like a legit tag team for once. For 4 minutes, I got to see a good tag team match with a team that I know has potential and can work. And we, like I said, 4 minutes, we got it. Probably never see it again. My lowlights, gang warfare, now including the Truth Commission in the roster of bloated stables.
The lowest of lows, the Truth Commission.
We didn't need that. I am going to go out on a teensy bit of a limb and say that I was satisfied with the DOA and Los Periquas. I didn't need another one. That's it for me. Joe, you have any contemporary wrestling news from on and around July 28th, 1997 for us?
Yep. Sid was officially fired from the WWF. WWF notes the decision was made due to the inability to get any straight answers from Sid concerning his condition and injuries and when he would be available. So Dave Meltzer reporting that Sid has been fired. Jim Neidhart has disappeared, according to Dave Meltzer. So the stipulation about the Anvil shaving his beard is likely dropped from the SummerSlam stipulations.
What a puss.
Devastated.
Didn't see many details, but apparently he has some deal with an indie wrestling promotion that the WWF was unaware of.
Can't get rid of that goatee, man. It's the only thing he's got left.
He's going to go lose to Doink the Clown at an NWA show.
Oh, my. SummerSlam is officially sold out. 16,000 tickets at $482,000. And the Pillman versus Goldust match has been moved up and is now part of the show. It is no longer going to be the free-for-all match. Dave Meltzer is reporting there will be no Monday Night Raw on August 25th or September 1st due to the U.S. Open tennis tournament. However, there will be Raw specials airing the day before those days. So we'll have to see what the Cock has in store for
Raw
us.
Specials. Are they going to be clip shows? Yeah.
Probably clip shows, yeah. And last but not least, Mark Marrow. He is...
Stop it. Just end there.
Yeah.
Well, he was going to return soon, but now he is not expected back until late September at the earliest now.
So
he
good news.
Yeah.
He met with Dr. James Andrews, who told Marrow that he had damaged his knee further by overtraining during his rehab recovery. So Mark Marrow was going to come back soon, but it's looking like another few months before we'll see him.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
And that is all.
All right. And with that, Dr. James Andrews has successfully turned face. He was a heel whenever he was helping out Shawn Michaels and giving him his diagnosis, but now James Andrews is a babyface, keeping Mark Marrow off of our screens. All right. Illuminating as always, Joseph. Thank you. And that's it, folks. We are done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can email us at WRASSLINRAW. Just add @gmail.com to the end of that to submit questions or comments. Check us out on social media and on every podcast subscription platform. While you're there, don't forget to follow and subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review and tell all of your friends to tune in to the most provocative Monday Night Raw review podcast on the airwaves. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be taking a look at the 1997 SummerSlam with matches featuring Owen Hart, Goldust, and many more. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.